Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Mercury back at the Lynx, game 2, all of it on the line. The season for the Merc here. As they lose, they go home. Spread is in at 9.5 points in this one, plus 400 on the money line for the Merc if you're feeling frisky, and 161.5 after a massive total that flew over last game's total. Looking at the box score specifically for the Merc to start, you can see they were already down a few players, including Rebecca Allen and Charisma Osborne, which meant they were down to about a 10-person rotation here, and most of the minutes went to the starters, with almost all of them playing 30. You can see Cunningham got the 28, 29 for Taurasi, and then Celeste Taylor, Natasha Mack, Monique Billings, all less than 15 minutes in this one. So I think you can expect that short rotation to continue. Same was the case really for the Lynx. As you can see the stuff here for their minutes. Really, Alanna Smith continues to be somewhat of a conundrum. She did have 4 fouls, a big reason why she saw 21 minutes. I would expect her to play closer to 30, as that's closer to what she's averaging on the season, about 27, 28. But let's look at some of the key stuff. Starting with threes, how did that go? Well, interestingly, it went really well for the Mercury. 14 for 27, 52%. That's absolutely ridiculous for a team's overall three-point shooting. And then for the Lynx, they were good as well. 41.7% is a very good three-point percentage, good for top 3 in the league. 10 for 24. So they were outscored by 12 points at the three-point line. This is where things change, though, is the free throw line. 24 of 25 for this squad, in part because you can see Kayla McBride and Natasha Cloud combined for 20 points from the free throw line by themselves, which was good enough to outscore the entire Phoenix Mercury team from the line. Only 7 of 11. That'll happen when you take 27 threes and really don't even attempt that many points in the paint. When I'm looking at rebounds, I like to go to advanced and look at the rebound percentage. That's a lot better tell than just the rebounds themselves. Sometimes one team misses a lot of shots and the other team doesn't, so it leads to more rebounds. One team plays faster, but the percentage tells us that 46% of the time there was a rebound chance that went to the Mercury, which means 54% of the time it went to the Lynx, rather, right? So they dominated the boards for a team that during the regular season was not a very good rebounding team. Go ahead and like that video for me if you would. Also running a little contest in the comments. Ran it in the other video as well, which you'll want to check out. The Fever and the Sun also playing here on Wednesday night. If you do jump in the comments, give me your 3 best bets, core lines, none of this alt line stuff. You need the core lines for these players or the game total, what have you, sides, whatever you want to do. Throw 3 of them in the comments. If all 3 hit, throw you in the raffle to win the $50. Let's get into these player props here, and I'm just going to kind of go down the line, to be honest, because there's plenty to look at. I'm going to start with Kayla McBride, and just so everybody knows, we're using outlier.bet and a couple others as well, but mostly outlier.bet. That's what I want to show you here. So starting with Kayla, let's go to her points and start there, because I know she had a nice game in this last one. 20 points in this last game, and you can see the amount of shots that she took, a nice 34 and basically 35 minutes. 11 shots for her. And she did have a couple free throws as well. 7 made free throws, as we told you. The reason that this Lynx team dominated from the free throw line, she and Natasha Cloud got there a ton, right? Which is interesting because her 3-point attempts were still up at 7. So the usage for both these ladies very, very high. The thing that gets in the way here for the Kayla McBride bet, if we're looking at propsmadness.com, you can see for Kayla, some of the stuff that deters me from feeling that comfortable about continuing to take an over for her would be just that it's really above her normal averages, right? On the season at about 15 points per game. This is telling us it's at 15.5 is the line, and with a pretty good number to the over, but you can see the implied probability there to the over pretty low for Kayla McBride. She does come in playing against this team that doesn't defend really well what she wants to do. You can see she's scoring most of her points from the spot up, and that is where the Phoenix Mercury are terrible, really bad on the perimeter in general. If you look at the season shot chart for her, she loves to shoot from above the break threes. That's obvious. That is where this team, the Merc defense, is the worst in the league, giving up the most points per game from that spot. It's still more of a likely over for Kayla than it is an under. I'm just heeding a little bit of caution here because I don't think there's much of an edge based on her sort of core numbers. I actually prefer to go with an over for Bridget Carleton, and pretty close to hitting the trigger on that one. If you look at her numbers right now, 9.5 points. She did go over this in the last game here, game 1, had 12 in that game. She played 35 minutes, which is really obviously encouraging if you do want to bet an over for her, that the minutes are big time there for Bridget Carleton. You look at the field goals as well, 8 shots to get those, 50% from the field, so a little bit above average. 2 of 5 from deep, a little bit above average as well. So she's slightly above her averages. If you look at her on the season in terms of how many shots she's taking, how many minutes she's playing, right? She's looking at field goals 8 shot on the season here, 7.4, so a little bit above, and 30 minutes. So the 35 minutes indicates this is a shorter rotation, and we might be seeing a bit more Bridget Carleton. That's why, in a lot of ways, I really like the over for her. If you look at her here on Props Madness, you can see the stuff that she's had head-to-head. Not very good on the season. Only one game that she's gone over this 9.5 point number for herself. That includes a couple games though. 32 minutes and one that she went under, but that was the most points. 33, 33, and 28. So she is getting a good amount of minutes here, and this was a really good shooting game for her. I do like the over a bit more. I think I prefer adding the rebounds as well. I know it's minus 144. This is something she's done really consistently. So in head-to-head, she's over in 3 of 5. But really, if you look at really the back half of the season, this is where she's been incredible. So she's at 3.8 on the season, but in the last roughly 30 games, this is where she stepped up a ton. And you can see that her hit rate goes up to about 66.7%. She's gotten 4 a gajillion times, as you can see. Like, look how many times she got exactly 4. So that is a little bit concerning that she's barely getting over this prop. But I will say the minutes are there for her. So one thing we can do is filter the minutes so it shows when she plays at least 30 minutes, how does she fare on the rebounds? So if we put it at 30 minutes, still about a 50% hit rate on the season. Either way, if you're going to take her, I do prefer to take the points and rebounds. You can now get it only at 14.5, but you're getting decently good odds here. Minus 104 on FanDuel, where I imagine most people would actually be able to get Bridget Carleton points and rebounds. Let's get a Phoenix player in here and look at Kahleah Copper, because she is very interesting based on the differences between her recent numbers and her numbers much earlier in the season, on the season as a whole, to be honest. So if we put her in here and pull up her stuff, looking at the points to start, it's 16.5, which is where it was last time. I have a mind to go over on this, and that might seem scary because in her last 10 games, she is not playing very well. She has only scored over 16 points twice in those last 10, and if you look at her field goal percentage in this time frame as well, she's at 37%, right? Not very good. 14 shot attempts is also below her season average, in part because I believe the minutes are also below her season average, and she was hurt during this time, so they were being really careful with her. I think that's a big part of it. I know she didn't look as good coming back. She took 15 shots and only made 6 of them, so that's not great. But her averages on the season are much higher. 7 made shots, 43% from the field, hitting a lot more, playing more close to 32 minutes rather than 31. So if you think she's at all healthy, which it still seems like she's healthy enough, even money for her to get 17 points on BetMGM or close to it on FanDuel is a good look, in my opinion. If you wanted to add the rebounds, I totally understand that. In the last 10 even, she looks a little bit better because this rebound prop, if you actually put it at, let's put it at 3.5, which is where it's at on most books, minus 138 for her to get 4. Really high implied probability because she's actually gotten 4 boards in 8 out of 10 games. So I think adding the rebounds to the points, getting to 20.5. I know the hit rate is still only at 40% in the last 10 games, but I think we really need to use her season numbers here and really bank on her not going out like that. Like, she ain't going to go out with another 16-point performance where she went 5 for 16 from the field. I think she's going to keep chucking. So if you look at her on the season, like I said, her averages are really nice because she's at 25.5 points and rebounds combined over almost 70% of the time. So the elongated averages over the season indicate that Kahleah Copper should be going over this number consistently. If you think she's good for about 30 to 35 minutes, she should hit that. We're going to put her real quick in the little minutes filter real quick just to see what happens when she does play 30 plus minutes this season. I mean, she's over almost the whole time, right? This is 69%. Nice. 20 of 29 games, but let's look at the season as a whole. That percentage is up at 72.7%. 24 of 33. These are the numbers I think you have to bank on a little bit more than the last 10. I know the overs are going to be coming a lot more in the earlier part, but she wasn't playing as many minutes in the week leading up, 2 weeks really leading up to the playoffs because they wanted to save her. It's time to let her loose. Going to look at Alanna Smith next. Just a quick reminder, if you want all the final plays, jump in the link of the description of the video. Link to the VIP Discord is in there if you want it, so you don't miss any of this stuff. Also give you my notes and good stuff in there, but also have the free Discord. So if you want, everything is in the description of the video. But let's look at Alanna now and see what we've got. We don't even have a rebound prop for her, I don't believe. This is pulling through saying that we've got it on FanDuel at even money. Props Madness is really good at making sure that this stuff is all up to date, scrapes like very consistently, and they're showing knowing that she still doesn't have rebounds available, which is what I trust more, which is pretty annoying. But I have a mind to fade Alanna Smith, to be honest. That's my lean for her if you're looking at her points and maybe even points and assists combined in this game. Those are at 11.5. And really what it comes down to for Alanna is the minutes. So I want to show you a couple of things with her. I don't know if she's got the minutes coming, and I don't know if she's got the field goal attempts. She did get in foul trouble. Brittney Griner will do that to you. She's very big, so it's hard to guard. Sometimes you got to hack. So let's look at what happens when she plays a certain level of minutes. So when she plays 0 to 26 minutes, let's do like 15 to 26 minutes, because, you know, still got to get some of the 50. Obviously, she plays 0 minutes, doesn't do us any good. But she averages 27 on the season. When she plays 15 to 26 minutes, which is just below her average, these numbers are not good, right? Still 50% hit rate, averaging 9 a game, just over, but not nearly as good when she plays 27 to, let's say, like 32 minutes, because those are the amount that she normally plays. When she gets the minutes, she's at a nice hit rate. When she doesn't, she's not. It's just that simple. I also don't know how involved in the offense she's actually going to be. If I put up the field goal attempts filter here and say, I want to know what happens when she takes at least, let's say 7 to 10 shots, which is around what she took in this last game. She only took 5, right? So this is a big part of it. So let's say she took 7 to 10 shots, because that's pretty reasonable. Even, I mean, 7 to 15, obviously, look at that, 77% hit rate, over in 20 of 26. Let's say she takes 7 to 10, still a really nice hit rate, over in 13 of 15. Now let's say she takes like 0 to 6 even, because we just did 7. So 0 to 6 shots, only over in 4 of 15. And as I said, she just took 5. She was really efficient with them, but she couldn't get them off. Now, she's more likely to get more shots in this game if she has more minutes. And I think as long as she stays out of foul trouble, she will. So minutes and field goal attempts are all we care about when we're taking her points, and obviously anybody's points, but hers fluctuates so much, it's really tough to gauge when she's going to get those minutes and not, partly based on fouls. Based on the fact that she's more likely to get fouls in this game than not, it does scare me, right? And you can see there's twice she went over, played pretty well. This was also one of these games without Brittney Griner. So keep all that in mind, that the fouls might be there for her. I think she's a better under than over in this one. So let's get to Brittney Griner here, since we've been talking about her impact on defense. In this first game, not such an awesome game here for her. In the points, she went under, only had 10 in this game. If you look at the boards for her as well, only had 6. So here's what it comes down to for Brittney Griner. Do you believe in her numbers season long, or do you believe in her numbers against this squad here for the Lynx? If you look at her on the season, this number is so low. 14.5 points is about 3 points, 2 points under her season average. If you look at the rebounds, 6.6, this is actually pretty high, which I love. The line is at 7.5 with juiced way down to the under, meaning that is very large likelihood that she goes under. If you look at the points and rebounds, 21.5, where she's averaging 24 on the season. So it's tough to take an under on her numbers when she's averaging 24 on the season and we're down at 21.5. But if you look at her head-to-head, this is a pretty big deal. Only 16 PR per game when she needs to get 22. Hasn't really sniffed that number. And she's at about her same minutes averages. She averages 28 minutes on the season, and she's averaging 28 versus this squad, essentially, right? Just one game that she played the 21 minutes, but still really low shot attempts, except for a couple of these games where she took 13 and 14. Still wasn't enough. Alanna Smith defense combined with Natasha Cloud, they have some bangers that can still defend the paint, even though it's been a weaker area for them. They've not let her get hers. So I still think she's a better under. I believe more in her playing against this Lynx squad in the way that she's played, rather than just the season averages where she beats up on worse teams. We got to look at the ageless wonder, because this might be the last time we see Diana Taurasi on a WNBA court. 21 points in her last game, played 30 minutes. I see no reason to do anything but go over for her once again. And it's really not based on numbers or averages. This is strictly DT's last game. Gotta believe in her, right? If you look at her points, now head-to-head stuff, let's just start there. Only over in 2 of 5. But like, this is the moment in time. This is where they were fighting for a playoff game. Didn't win, obviously, but she still was out there for 31 minutes. And this one as well, 30 minutes. If she's getting 30 minutes, let's put her here in the minutes filter and give her 30 plus, assuming that they're going to play her in, once again, probably her last game of the season. So this is a pretty nice hit rate, 62%, over in 13 to 21. It's enough for me to go, yeah, I mean, if I'm going to get plus money for her to get 15, something she's done twice against this team in the last 2 anyway, and when she plays minutes against this team, she gets that number, 13 shots. They're going to be feeding her. She's allowed to do whatever she wants. If you look at the assists versus Minnesota, it's a little bit tougher to get the dimes, obviously, because this is a very good team limiting assists. 4 assists, something she could do. I'd rather just go for the points, maybe even the threes, as we've seen her just chuck them, right? At this point, she's going to keep putting them up. It's 1.5 minus 182. I think if you take the 2 or 3 rather for her to make 3 in this one, you're getting some decent money, but I think over for points is the only play for DT. Now we get to Natasha Cloud, whose numbers have soared over. If you did watch the last video about this game, I loved her at over 9.5 points, which is ridiculous. Now we're at 12.5. So we're back to her season averages. I think the books just had a mispriced line, to be honest, last game, and now things are a little bit more difficult. She also flew past the assist line with 10. Now it's all the way up at 7.5. It is something she's done pretty decently well, even against this team. 3 of 5 that she's gone over, had 7 in one of these, and she played 38 minutes in this last game. If she's going to get that many minutes because she's so hot, I mean, let's put her at 35 and say, like, she's going to, like, they have a short rotation. Like I said, she's going to be out there for a lot of it. See if she's at with 35 plus minutes. Still on the assists, still below the regular averages. And then once you get to the points here, though, she is obviously over her 12-point average in that one. So I still lean actually over on the points, potentially under on the assists, which I know is at minus 112. This might leak over to 8.5 because the fact that minus 148 is the over odds here, right, on FanDuel especially. So keep that in mind. I think you can maybe get a nice little negatively correlated parlay for her to go over points, under dimes. And that is all the time I have for you guys in this one. Make sure you jump in the description of the video. Got the links to everything you need in there, including all the tools I'm using, as well as the VIP Discord and the free Discord, whichever one you prefer if you want to jump in there. Got some discounts for some stuff as well if you want to check all that out for outlier.bet, props.cash, and the like. So best of luck tonight, and until I see y'all next, happy betting.